home and left. So net, we've got an extra 500,000 people. Is it any wonder you can't drive anywhere? Is it any wonder you can't see a doctor, you can't get a dentist, you can't get into a school, there are no houses? It's absolutely unbelievable. Let's talk to Lee Anderson and find out what he makes of it all. Lee, a very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Mike.
Now, I was very pleased to see you sitting in on the old Home Affairs Select Committee the other day, questioning Suella Braverman. I mean, at least she admitted that the system's broken, but now when we hear things like this, that you can come here as a student and somehow bring 3 or 4 or 5 members of your family, it's crazy, isn't it?
It's absolutely bonkers, Mike. I learned this a few weeks back, actually, this ridiculous scenario where if you come and do one of these dodgy, bogus degree courses and then do the MA part, I don't know, I'm not a university student what this means, but if you do the MA bit, you can then bring 4 or 5 members of your family over. It's just another way, it's another loophole. It's a more expensive way than the Channel crossings, but another way where people can enter this country for the wrong reasons, I believe. I mean, yesterday's figures are shocking, Mike, let's be honest, absolutely shocking. I'm embarrassed, I make no excuses. I'm not going to come on your show again and make any excuses on behalf of government. We should be thoroughly ashamed of ourselves. We've got the situation in the Channel. That's tens of thousands now this year, probably 50,000 by the time we come to the end of the year. 500,000 net immigration. And what we're talking about COP27 and ridiculous net zero journeys all the time. That place where I work, Parliament, is totally out of touch with the rest of the country, and they need to get a grip, get out there and start talking to some real people.
Well, this is it, Lee. I mean, you know from old that we've been talking about this subject for a very long time here at Talk TV and when we were at Talk Radio. It's almost as if everybody else has woken up and gone, oh, blimey, there's a lot of people here that maybe shouldn't be here, and there's an awful lot more people here than we thought, because I'm not even sure whether the 700,000 that we're told left last year actually did leave, because the real figure is 1.2 million. I mean, that's an awful lot of people that have come here in 1 year alone, isn't it?
I'll tell you what, mate, I mean, if it carries on like this, I'll be part of that 700,000 people that's leaving, because I'm absolutely fed up to the back table what's happening in this country at the moment. Look, you know, like I say, the whole of Parliament, this Westminster bubble, they haven't got a clue what people like you and me and people in the real world are thinking. They haven't got a clue what it's like to ring up for a GP appointment in the morning. They haven't got a clue what it's like to wait for an hospital appointment. They have no idea. They have no idea what it's like to be on the social housing list. They haven't got a clue, Mike. And, you know, I'm not going to sit on the fence. I'm not one for doing that. The fault lies in Parliament, lies in Westminster. They need to get out of that bubble and speak. You know, these people that voted for us in massive numbers in 2019 to get Brexit done and to control immigration and to put law and order at the forefront of everything we do, we're failing, Mike. We need to get a grip.
Well, that's right, because people are quite rightly getting absolutely and utterly wound up when they see that, you know, Suella Braverman's commandeering more hotels for these people, right, and saying, well, don't worry, once we got them in the hotels, then we can find them some accommodation. There are people who've been waiting for accommodation or who can't afford to move for years and years and years and years. And it's just a terrible, terrible blight now, this whole movement. You know, I'm all for the Refugees Convention, which was signed in 1950. But the world is a very different place now, Lee, isn't it? And we've now got people taking advantage of us. We've got the trafficking gangs making a fortune. We've got drug dealers coming over in boats with their drugs in some cases. It's a joke.
Well, look, Matt, look what we've got here. We've got the people smugglers making money. You're right, you've got the drug pushers making money. You've got Serco making millions. You've got the hotels making millions. You've got the do-gooding lefty lawyers making millions. This is an absolutely massive industry. It's epic proportions. And we sat back, really, and what we're doing, we're putting people in hotels. That's nonsense. The hotels should be for tourists. They should be for tradesmen and craftsmen and people on business. And ultimately, in places like Ashfield, they take the slack up when we've got some homeless people that need accommodating on a short-term basis. What happens? Look at Skegness, which is not a million miles away from me. It's where people in Ashfield go for the holidays. Next year, I predict, Mike, they won't be able to get into a hotel in Skegness because it will be full of illegals. Some of them Albanian criminals. And I'll tell you what, they won't be out spending money in the local economy on hot dogs, candy floss and ice cream. They're more likely to be up to something else, and we know what we're talking about.
No, exactly right. I mean, I was talking to Kevin Saunders the other day, former Border Force guy. He was trying to get a hotel room down in Kent because he was going down to actually look into the situation down there as to see what he could do to help. Couldn't get one. There's literally no hotel rooms to be found in Kent. I wonder why that is.
I've got a little sympathy for the Border Force at the moment, Mark. They're half the problem, I think. You know, we've got people coming in. We see people coming across the channel. The French are ferrying them across. We're picking them up halfway. ferried them in here, we're chucking them on buses, putting them through the Manston Processing Centre, then they're ferried off to a 4-star hotel. Meanwhile, in places like Ashfield, we've got people struggling to get on the housing list, struggling to get proper housing. We put in immigrants. There are some genuine asylum seekers, I know there is, but we put in criminals, the Albanians, above our own people. You know, these Albanians, Mark, they actually wait for the weather to change. They sit in Albania ready to get on a bus, and then they come to northern France because they know the weather's going to change. They're not over. It's absolutely scandalous.
Yeah, it is incredible, isn't it? Let's talk a bit about the other stuff that's going on. We got the RMT, old Mick Grinch, as I like to call him, complaining that, you know, the government doesn't want to help him get more money. Funny that. Why should they? He's got enough money as it is. But the point is, he's now going to have a complete week of strikes just before Christmas, another week after New Year. We've got the nurses coming up with a strike now. They're apparently giving us 2 days' worth of strikes, just coming into December. It's an absolute shambles. What's going on?
It is a shambles. When you think the amount of taxpayer, the government support that the railways had during the pandemic, by hundreds of millions of pounds, people's wages subsidised, there's millions of pounds pumped in. But I was getting trains down to London during the pandemic, and I'd be lucky if there was more than me on the train, and these were going every half an hour. They had absolutely millions, hundreds of millions of taxpayers' money. This Mick Lynch creature is just a pound shop Scargill, I've said it before, or he's not interested in his own workers. None of these union leaders are. All they're interested in is bringing down the government, causing disruption, causing mayhem. But you know what? If he does shut down for 2 weeks over Christmas, what a great time to do some maintenance on the railway line.
Yeah, but they won't do that. That's the trouble. I mean, the problem is they can't shut down, though, because people have got to go places. I mean, the schools are still open at that week, the 16th of December. I've got a live show that I'm doing at Waterloo. People are already ringing me up to say, you know, we're not sure we can get to it. You know, there's people who are still going to doctor's appointments. There's people who need to go and visit relatives. You know, people are now telling me that the rail service in this country is so bad that they have no clue if they buy a ticket if they'll ever get on a train.
Yeah, I had an RMT member to say to me a few weeks back, even if they do get everything that Mick asked for, the pay rise and everything, by the time they've worked out how much money they've lost through striking and the disruptions, then they're no better off. So I say to Mick, come on, play the game, be a Brit. You know what the country's just been through. We've been through an awful time. We're trying to get back on our feet. And people like you, Mick, you know better than the fifth columnist holding this country to ransom. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Let me have 10 minutes with him, Michael.
Well, I mean, this is a man who clearly shows that he doesn't care about British people. He doesn't care about kids. He doesn't care about their parents, their grandparents. He doesn't care about hospital patients, people that need to get to a doctor's appointment. He doesn't care about any of them. He cares about his members. And his members actually are doing all right. Thanks very much indeed, aren't they?
Well, they get paid pretty good wages, I believe, Mike, in the rail industry. I think drivers on about 60 or 70 grand, probably a little bit more with overtime. That's twice as much, 2.5 times as much as the average wage in a place like Ashfield. You know, Ashfield, folks, about 99% of people in my area never even get on a train. Yet these people want the residents in Ashfield, they want their money out their taxes to subsidise their wages and the service. The service needs updating, it needs upgrading. They need to modernise. They need to get into the 21st century and not expect the hard-working taxpayers in Ashfield to subsidise their wages.
Yeah, absolutely right. Now, I'm happy to report that the Independent Parliamentary Standards Authority has been given a going over by MPs because they were the ones that said, oh, MPs can charge their Christmas parties to the taxpayer. It looks as though they've got one in the eye, and they've said, sorry, we didn't mean to say that.
Well, look, I mean, I didn't even know this. I mean, a lot of MPs, we were shocked. I think it was Wednesday morning when we read these headlines that MPs can pay for parties in their office. It's nonsense, Mike. I don't know any MPs that do this. And the people who are making these rules, again, these need to get in the real world. Yeah. Look, I will take my staff out for Christmas and buy them a bit of dinner, and it will come out my pocket, nobody else's.
Quite right, too. Me too. Although I'm not going to take mine anywhere expensive because they don't deserve it. But that's a joke, by the way. What about England tonight? England-USA. What do you reckon? You've got some high hopes?
I have. I won't be watching it, Mike, because I'm out at the Conservative function doing a bit of speaking. But, yeah, I think they should win tonight. I think the USA are a decent side, look, a strong, organised side. It depends what the price is. An £500,000 watch, but not take a yellow card for a booking to wear the rainbow on his football. Look, I took a stand against this, Mike, last year about sportsmen getting involved in
I remember, politics. Yeah.
But if they make a stand, at least be consistent. Yes. If you're going to make a stand and support BLM, which they were doing, then at least you can support your gay friends in a place like Qatar, and actually the team would be heroes if they did it. But again, I think it's the FA that's directing them on this, Mike, not the players themselves. I think they're spineless. I think they're gutless. I think they're a bunch of cowards, the FA.
Yeah. I think if it wasn't for the FIFA organisation, they'd be the worst football organisation in the world. But there we are. Lee, thank you very much indeed. Lee Anderson, Conservative MP for Ashfield, speaks his mind, very, very much talks common sense, and he's absolutely right.